Congratulations! You are now the proud owner of a new white Speedy Lock model 1500 Serger. I'm Amy Doggett, Education Coordinator for White Sewing Machine Company. Your Speedy Lock is a 3/4 thread serger with adjustable cutting width, a free arm, and differential feet. This videotape was produced to help you become familiar with the features on your new machine and to help you understand its potential. After serging your way through this videotape, experiment with your serger, testing different types of threads and different tension adjustments. Better yet, stop by your local sewing machine retailer and ask about creative sewing and serging classes, a fun way to learn even more about serger sewing. Thank you for purchasing the white Speedy Lock model 1500. Let's get serging.
Set your serger on a sturdy, flat surface. Push the foot control plug into the connector socket at the bottom right side of your serger. This connects both the power cord and foot control. The power switch is located at the bottom right-hand side. The same switch controls both power and light. To reveal the free arm, grab underneath the left arm of the Speedy Lock and pull to the left. The free arm is great for serging cuffs, pant legs, or any small or hard-to-reach area. To reattach, slide the black metal tongue found inside the removed bed into the rectangle shape of the free arm. Push until it clicks into place. To open the front cover, push to the right and pull down toward you. To open the left side of your Speedy Lock, simply push the black lever found inside your serger. Always be sure to close the front and side cover before sewing. The hand wheel is located on the right side of your serger. Always turn the hand wheel toward you. This is the upper cutter. You'll disengage the upper cutter for threading and cleaning purposes only. To disengage, push the knob toward the right and turn it upward until the cutter is in the highest position. The upper cutter is sharp, so care should be taken when moving this part. Be sure to put the cutter down before sewing. The cutting width dial is located inside your serger. You can adjust your cutting width from 4 mm to 6 mm by simply turning the dial according to the type of fabric you're working with. This fine-tune adjustment allows you to achieve the best stitch possible on all fabrics. Your Speedy Lock comes with a full complement of accessories, including tweezers for threading, screwdrivers, and needles. Use organ brand needles in your Speedy Lock. Important parts of this serger are made of a special oil-impregnated sintered metal. Therefore, frequent lubrication is not necessary. However, 1 or 2 drops of oil on moving metal parts will increase durability. Your white serger is very easy to thread. With practice, you'll be able to thread it in a few minutes without using any tools. Master the correct threading before starting your first project. Threading must be carried out in the following sequences for total ease of operation: upper looper, lower looper, right needle, left needle. To begin, extend the thread pull to its highest point. You can use most any type of thread in your serger. A good quality sewing thread is recommended. Cone thread may be the most economical due to the amount of thread. However, regular spools of sewing thread, large, small, or thin, as well as decorative threads, work equally as well. When using large cones of thread, use the plastic cone holders. This will help hold the cone of thread in place. For small spools, remove the plastic spool holders and place the spool directly on the spool pin. Use the spool cap to keep the spool in place and to prevent the thread from catching on the edges of the spool. Let's thread your serger. You'll notice the color-coded diagram on the inside of your serger. The colors correspond with the loopers and needles. Blue, upper looper. Purple, lower looper. Yellow, right needle. Green, left needle. Thread the upper looper first. Use your hand wheel to bring your upper looper to its lowest position for visibility. Draw the thread from the spool. Drop the thread in the guide at the top of the thread pull from back to front. Thread through the hole located on top of the metal thread bar, indicated by the blue dot. Bring the thread back up around the metal bar, sliding it into the guide just right of the first blue dot. Through the next guide, then around the tension disc, making certain your thread snaps into the disc. Give it a tug to check. and continue as illustrated on the inside front cover. Next, you will thread the lower looper. Drop the thread in the guide at the top of the thread pull from back to front. Thread through the hole located on top of the metal thread bar, indicated by the purple dot. Bring the thread back up around the metal bar, sliding it into the guide just right of the first purple dot. Through the next guide, then around the tension disc, making certain your thread snaps into the disc. Give it a tug to check. Continue as illustrated, following the purple dots. Hook the thread around the lower looper slot from back to front. Pull the thread through and thread the eye of the lower looper. You may wish to use the tweezers provided. Next, thread your needles, starting with the right. Raise the needles to their highest position by turning the handwheel toward you. Make certain the presser foot is down. At this point, you may want to disengage your cutter. Drop the thread in the guide at the top of the thread pull from back to front. Thread through the hole located on top of the metal thread bar, indicated by the yellow dot. Bring the thread back up around the metal bar, sliding it into the guide just right of the first yellow dot. Then around the tension disc, making certain your thread snaps into the disc. Give it a tug to check. Pass the thread through the remaining guides for the appropriate needle. Now thread your left needle in the same manner, following the green dots. Once complete, remember to lower your cutter before sewing. Never sew with your cutter disengaged. Raise your presser foot and draw your threads toward the back. Lower the presser foot. Now that you've successfully threaded your new white serger, let's test sew a 4-thread seam and overcast stitch. But first, close your front and side cover. Always make certain the covers are closed before sewing. For a basic 4-thread seam and overcast, set your tensions to the normal tension range. Thread tensions will vary according to the type and thickness of your thread and fabric. In most cases, these tensions will vary only slightly. Turning the tension dial to a lower number gives you less tension, and a higher number more tension. Begin by stepping on the foot control to sew a chain, testing the formation of your stitch. Fold a piece of medium-weight woven fabric in half. Place the fabric under the presser foot with the folded edge to the right. Serge a 4-thread seam. At the end of the seam, serge a 4-inch thread tail and trim with scissors. The upper looper thread should be flat on the top side of the fabric and lock with the lower looper thread on the edge. The lower looper thread should be flat on the underside of the fabric and lock with the upper looper thread on the edge. The needle thread should lay mainly on the top side, like rows of normal straight sewing. The left needle will form a line of sewing along the left edge, connecting the 2 looper threads. The right needle acts as a safety stitch, forming a line of stitching through the upper looper thread. Depending on the type of fabric you're using, you may want to adjust your stitch length. The stitch length lever is located on the left side of your Speedy Lock. A normal stitch length for medium-weight woven fabric is 2.5 to 3.5 millimeters. The higher the number, the longer the stitch. To practice adjusting the stitch length, set the stitch length to 5 millimeters. Fold your medium-weight woven fabric in half. Stitch along the edge, stopping every inch and decreasing the stitch length. Use a short stitch length, 2 millimeters, on lighter weight fabrics. Longer stitch length, 4 to 5 millimeters, can be used for specialty techniques and on heavier fabrics. Before proceeding to the next technique, return the stitch length to normal. The stitch width can be changed for different techniques and types of fabric. The cutting width dial is located inside your serger. To practice adjusting for a wide cutting width, first disengage the upper cutter. Turn the dial counterclockwise or backward. Notice the lower blade moving to the right of the throat plate. Put the upper cutter back into place. Close the side cover and front door. Fold a medium-weight woven fabric. Serge along one edge. Now, adjust for a narrow stitch width. To do this, open the front cover and side door. Turn your stitch width dial clockwise or forward until it stops. Serge along the other edge of your fabric. This fine-tune adjustment allows you to achieve the best stitch possible on all fabric types. Loosely woven or heavy knit fabrics require a wider width, and lighter weight fabrics require a narrower seam width. To secure the beginning of a seam, fold your medium-weight woven fabric in half. Stitch 2 to 3 stitches into the fabric, then stop sewing. Raise your presser foot. Bring the thread chain around under the presser foot toward the cutter. Lower your presser foot. Sew, catching the thread chain in your seam and cutting off the excess chain. To secure the end of a seam, take 1 stitch off the end of your fabric. Raise your presser foot. Slide your fabric out. Flip it over toward you, placing the last ½ inch under the presser foot. Lower your presser foot. Serge over your previous stitch to lock the seam. Raise the presser foot. Slide your fabric to the left, clearing the cutter. Lower the presser foot and chain off. Most ends are secured during garment construction. Therefore, it's not always necessary to lock ends. Cut a curved neckline in a piece of sweatshirt fleece. Fold a piece of ribbing in half lengthwise. Place the ribbing on the neckline with right sides together and raw edges even. Work with your ribbing on top. Serge a couple stitches to secure the ribbing to the fabric. Continue to serge around the neckline, stretching the ribbing to meet the neck edge. As you're serging around the curve, pull your neck edge to create a straight line. Your white serger will finish, trim, and allow ribbing to stretch while still retaining its original shape. Differential feed prevents puckering on lightweight woven fabrics and stretching of knits, which may occur when serging. Your serger has 2 sets of feed teeth. Each set has an individual feed mechanism, enabling the feeding of fabric at a different ratio. A 1-to-1 ratio is normal, with each set of feed teeth feeding at the same pace. A minimal setting, or S, stretch, runs the back feed teeth faster than the front, holding the fabric tight under the presser foot. A positive setting, or G, gather, is the opposite, running your front feed teeth faster than the back, pushing your fabric together under the presser foot. The differential feed is adjusted by the dial located on the left side of your serger. Use minimal differential feed, or S, stretch, to prevent puckering when serging lightweight woven fabrics. With your differential feed set at normal, or N, serge one side of a piece of silky woven fabric. There may be slight puckering. Move your differential feed to the minimal setting of S. Serge another seam along the other side of the same fabric. This seam will be pucker-free. A positive differential feed, or G, gather, eliminates weighty seams when serging stretch knit such as ribbing or sweater knit. To begin, set the differential feed to the normal N setting. Using a piece of stretchy knit fabric, serge a seam on one edge, going with the stretch of the fabric. Your seam will stretch and wave. Now, change your differential feed to a positive setting, or G. Serge the opposite edge of your sample. This seam will be flat. You have a wide range of differential feed settings for perfect serging on a wide range of fabric types. Set your differential feed to a positive setting, or G. Increase your stitch length to 5. Insert a piece of lightweight woven fabric under the presser foot and serge 1 inch. Place the forefinger of your left hand behind the foot and apply a small amount of pressure to the fabric as it emerges from under the presser foot. After the length of fabric has been gathered, leave about a 10 to 12 inch thread tail, as you may wish to adjust your gathers. Neatly finished and adjustable gathers, perfect for ruffles around a pillow or gathering a skirt. The 3-thread seam affords maximum stretch on knits, or a lighter edge finish for medium to lightweight fabrics. For a narrow 3-thread serge, remove the left needle. For a wide 3-thread stitch, remove the right needle. We'll be doing a wide 3-thread serge. To remove your right needle, raise your needles to the highest position. Open the front cover and disengage your cutter for ample space. The left needle is held in place by the top screw. The right needle is held in place by the bottom screw. Using the Allen wrench, loosen the bottom screw and remove the right needle. Tighten the screw. After the needle is removed, snip the right thread. This will ensure you do not lose your right needle down in the machine. For safekeeping, stick the needle into the unused cone of thread, in this case, the right cone. Lower your cutter and close the front cover. Remember, always sew with the cutter in place and the doors closed. Set your stitch length to 3 and your differential feed at normal, or N. Fold a piece of medium weight woven fabric in half and serge a seam. Also use the 3-thread overlock stitch to finish edges before garment construction, preventing raveling of your fabric, plus providing a more professional finish inside your garment. A rolled edge uses the right needle to create a narrow satin roll on the edge of soft fabrics, such as crepe de chine, georgette, silk, and lightweight materials. Thread your upper looper with decorative thread such as sulky rayon. To set your speedy lock for a rolled edge, turn the hand wheel toward you until the needles are raised. Remove the left needle as explained in our previous exercise. Replace the right needle. Notice your presser foot. Your presser foot is convertible. Your presser foot is set for normal overlock sewing when the letter N for normal is adjacent to the vertical screw on top of the presser foot. At this setting, stitches are formed over a wide stitch finger. For a rolled edge, simply loosen the screw and slide the metal finger located on the left side of the foot toward you until it stops. Tighten the screw. This removes the wide stitch finger to reveal a smaller finger from which the stitches form and rolls the fabric to the underside. Set your stitch length between 1 and 2 for a short, narrow stitch. Differential feed should be at N. Adjust your tensions. Right needle, upper looper, lower looper. Tightening your lower looper pulls the upper looper and needle threads to the underside of your fabric. Sew along one edge of a piece of lightweight woven fabric. If the edge puckers, set the differential feed to S. Stretch. For a decorative effect, try using novelty threads like woolly nylon, metallic silk, pearl cotton, or 2-ply baby yarn. Remember to experiment first for the proper tension setting and stitch length. The optional blind hem foot may be purchased from your white sewing machine dealer. Adjust the guide by loosening the screw on the top of the foot and shifting the guide to the right or left as needed so the needle just catches the fold. Retighten the screw. Using a piece of denim, fold for blind hem, creating a backward S. Place the fabric under the presser foot with the wrong side up. Feed the folded edge into the guide in the front of the foot and lower the presser foot. Try several stitches on a scrap of the actual fabric. When correctly set, sew the hem. The outside edge will be trimmed. After completion, open and press. The stitches should be almost invisible on the right side of the fabric. The elastic foot will guide 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch elastic while stretching the elastic with our specially designed tension-controlled roller. Tighten or loosen the screw on the top of the foot to control the stretch while you sew. To adjust the amount of stretch, tighten the adjustment screw by turning it to the right for more stretch in the elastic. For less stretch, loosen the adjustment screw by turning it to the left. Place the fabric under the foot and serge the elastic to the edge of a piece of medium-weight woven fabric. Insert a piece of elastic into the slot and under the foot until it reaches behind the foot.